All right. So fire up your note-taking app or your good old-fashioned pen and paper, and let's work through each step together because all of them are important. And they're not necessarily sequential, but the way I've built this workshop is it's very progressive. So each one does somewhat build on the other. So step number one is to develop a resilient entrepreneurial mindset. We've talked a lot about this at the university. We've taught courses on this, and we'll share some of the courses that we've done related to this later. But resilience is such a cool word because when you cultivate resilience in yourself, you have the ability to bounce back in difficult situations. And when you've had those moments where you weren't resilient, it's typically the times you crumbled. And this is not just in business, this is just in life. I mean, we all face challenges. Some of you may have had really great challenges in your life. And out of the challenge, even though you would never wish to go through it again, you had this muscle, this resilience muscle that was strengthened through it, that you almost had the ability to endure a bit better because you went through this difficult circumstance. And that's sort of the entrepreneurial journey. As we've talked in other classes, the journey for Kelly and I has been like this. It's been windy, and the amazing part of it is that it over time and with persistence and tenacity, that resilience was cultivated. And it's not perfect, and it doesn't mean every day is a rosy day, but there's more resilient. We have more resilience now than we would have when we first got started. And so we want to cultivate that. We want to develop a resilient mindset. And so resilience is defined as this. It's the ability to consistently adapt to changing circumstances, learn from mistakes, and bounce back from difficult setbacks. All right. So when you see what's happening in our world today, there's a lot of changes on the technology front. We could spend a lot of time talking about AI. That's why we have other AI workshops at the university, is because it's changing the way we do things. And so obviously we can't sit there and avoid it. We have to adapt to it. That's a part of being resilient. We learn from mistakes that we've made with a client, with missteps that we made along the way. That we don't beat ourselves up. We just learn from it and say, wow, I don't want to go through that again, but I've learned a lot because of it. And then the ability to bounce back from difficult setbacks, because when you become an entrepreneur, when you start your own business, it's a wonderful thing. And all of you already shared the freedoms, the ability to work where you want, the ability to be your own boss, the ability to determine your own financial goals, you put the ceiling on what you can earn, and the ability to work with the clients that you love. But the double-edged sword is there's all those freedoms, and the other side is there's challenges, there's setbacks. There's like everything's going well, and suddenly a client contacts you and says, I can't afford you anymore. The economy's hit me hard, and I can't work with you anymore. And suddenly you're like, everything was going so well. It was the day was, I had arrived as a freelancer, and yet you hit this setback. So that it's through those experiences that you cultivate that resilience. And freelancers that have been doing this for a long time, and business owners that have done this for a long time, they've had to cultivate resilience. Otherwise, they would have gone and done something else. So your mindset is a reflection of what you believe about yourself in the midst of challenges. Do you beat yourself up when you make mistakes, or do you get back up and say, wow, that was an interesting experience that I never want to experience again, but I've learned this A, B, and C because of it. So it's a huge difference. And we have talked a lot about this at our university because it tends to trip people up. You are your own worst enemy at times. And certainly that is representative in what we do. So we've talked in our university about having a growth and a fixed mindset. This comes straight from Carol Dweck's book on mindset, which is a terrific read. And we've always recommended that as a must-read resource for everybody. But just to recap, a fixed mindset says this, I'm not good at this. I'm not good at this AI thing. It's just kind of, it's just, it's just beyond me. The growth mindset says, I can get better with practice. If I spend enough time learning how to prompt ChatGPT, I might become a bit of a prompt pro or specialist. It just may happen. Uh, a fixed mindset says I'm afraid of making mistakes, therefore maybe I won't even do it. I won't even start the project. I won't even take the job. Mistakes help me grow. Absolutely. I'm not as skilled as others. Fixed mindset, growth mindset. I'm learning and improving and developing. I shared that we are running a summit for 50 plus professionals called Freelance After 50. And, we do hear those comments from people that, am I too old to be a freelancer? Am I too old to compete with all the young generation that basically grew up with a piece of technology in their hand, a cell phone, a smartphone, a smart device? And then you get other people saying, you know what? My knowledge and my capacity to learn is at its highest level that it's ever been. With my experience and knowledge, I can learn and improve as fast as anybody else can. That's a growth mindset. Fixed, I've never been successful, I'll never be successful, to looking at other people and say their success inspires me. Wow, look at that person at Freelance University that has 5 clients and they built this great business. Wow, I wonder what I could learn from them. That's a growth mindset. There aren't enough clients. There's so many freelancers out there. There's not enough work to go around. That's a fixed mindset. A growth mindset says there's plenty of opportunities. And if I run out of opportunities in this niche, because I'm resilient, I will adapt and I will try new things. So what you're offering now as a service or what you plan to offer may not be the same thing that you do a year from now or 2 years from now. So it's very important that we have a growth mindset. So the action exercise for number 1, and again, this was all about cultivating a resilient mindset, is first of all to identify one limiting fixed belief you have. What would one belief you have? Yeah, I shared a few of them. You may know very well a belief that you have about yourself. Like, I'm too old to start a freelance business. That may be something you're saying or something related to that. Then the second part of the exercise is to replace it with a growth statement. So how can I reposition this limiting belief and turn it into something like this? I have a wealth of skills and experience to bring to my new freelance business, which is absolutely true. And so that is the exercise for number 1. So I wanted to start with mindset because everything in your business rises and falls on what you believe about yourself, because it will shape how you price. It will determine the opportunities you pursue or you don't pursue. And so mindset is critical, and it's our first step. The other thing is that we're going to be recommending courses of ours throughout this, what I call this pillar workshop. I want you to also take the Healthy Freelancer Mindset course. Write that down if you haven't taken it. I will summarize all the courses I suggest at the end, but this is an awesome course where we do a much deeper dive into cultivating a healthy mindset as a freelancer and as a business owner. All right, so that is step number 1. So you can determine yourself, how are you doing in that area? Is this an area that's an ongoing challenge, or do you feel like you're in a healthy place from a mindset standpoint?